Shivchey HaRan. The first chalik of Shevach 24, Chavdalet. We understood from his words that he spoke with us that when he was very young, when Rabbeinu was very young, and he worked extremely hard for Avodas Hashem, he had all kinds of sigufim that when he understood, he had all kinds of siguf in the world, rolling around in sheleg. It used to be, very much in vogue. That's the Avodas Hashem that he used to do in those days. This sigufim in tanesim, in rolling in. And Rabbeinu said that the idea is behind sigufim is to disconnect oneself from the physical nature of the body, because the body is extremely dominant. The physicality of the body is extremely dominant. So by not giving the body what the body, succumbing to, you want to eat well, you want to be comfortable in your bed, you want to this one, with a person becomes, under the spell of his physicality. The enough sigufim is to break that spell and just let the spirituality flourish. So that used to be he said, yes, Gilgul Shel Chayotze. And he said, the biggest siguf that a person can do is not to scratch himself. You have an itch, not to scratch it. Not, to hit yourself with whatever it is. It's not scratching. When something close to the body, bites a person or whatever it is, nature is, to rub it. And when the Rabbeinu used to accept this is going to be his siguf. If something, would bite him, or, would itch, not to rub it and not to scratch it, not with the body, not with the hand, with nothing. Just let it go. He says this is a huge siguf. I think it's called self-emulation, I think it's called. Because when a person is not doing anything, so the sense of itch or pain, or whatever it is huge. He says he feels every single itch in his brain. He says this is a huge self-emulation. He says I also heard it from other tzaddikim, and also says that it's huge siguf. And the Rabbeinu said when he was young, he used to do all this sigufim, everything, tmimis and pshitas, until he was leichet to whatever he was leichet. And he says about the yisurim that there is, most of tzaddikim have to go through. He says it's unheard of to somebody who have a yisurim kamo yisubal yisurim, but what Rabbeinu suffered, what he went through. He was full with yisurim from inside, from outside. In the beginning, before the end of his days, he had unbelievable yisurim. He said that his yisurim is in his hand. He has total control over them. If he wants it, he would let it come, and they would come to him. And when he wants it, he could push them away and not feel them at all. And he says that the difficulties of those sufferings that he went through was to no end. He says that Bishmoy, so somebody said in his name, that when Yisurim came to him, the pain was so immense that he could bite down a piece of wood into two. Like this he could bite it. Like a person has unbelievable pain that he could have done it. He says, but the greatness of the Yisurim that he had at the end, for 3 years before he passed away, were doubly difficult, to the point that you cannot even imagine. and a little bit will be explained in a different place in Mitzvah Hashem. And there's a lot to be told about this, but we did not write a lot of this because even in this, there's so much to talk about it. There's not enough paper to write it all. Mitzvah Hashem, we'll talk about it. You know, the Torah speaks about Yisurim a lot. Rabbeinu speaks about Yisurim a lot. It says that in the surface of the Torah, Rabbeinu speaks about the fact that there are two aspects that have to do with Yisurim. The Yisurim that did not come yet. A person should die because they should not come. The Yisurim that already came, a person should rejoice. Baruch Hashem B'kavod, accept it with love. Two separate things. You know, don't do me no favors from now on, but whatever I already have, accept it with love because everything that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is in there. But there's a far deeper Nakuda, which we can really talk about it only when we don't feel the pain. But nevertheless, we need to talk about this. And that is, everybody wants to get to Olam Haba with a feather pillow, driving a Cadillac. In Olam Haba, everything that we do and we did, and we do now, everything we did, good or bad, becomes either, our spaceship to travel in our journey to infinity, or an affliction. And it is said that the Tsar, Lo Aleinu, Lo Aleichem, that the Neshama feels in Olam Haba, 1 minute of Tsar of Olam Haba is worse than 80 years of Yisurim in Olam Hazeh. In other words, all the life is one long saga of Yisurim. Why? Because over here, the body, there's a limit to how much body can suffer. A person either loses his consciousness or he dies or whatever. Olam Haba, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. There's no painkiller. There's no... This oilam is real. We who do not have a true Yishuv Hadas, we just not to suffer, just not to suffer, just not to suffer, just not to suffer. This is more important to us than anything else. Just not to suffer. But anybody who has a true Yishuv Hadas like Rabbeinu, he was makabel Yisrael on himself, because the tachlis is Chaim Yitzchi, eternal life. That's why Ibn Nosson says it's impossible to talk about this. Move to the other side so we can. It is impossible to talk about this. Shem Yazor. We'll continue with Shivchey HaRan, that corresponds to this in Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow.